Welcome back to Domingo Live. You know, we have such a wonderful opportunity. So many artists, so many different types of creativity that comes to our show to promote music, to promote anything and everything that happens here in South Texas. One of them is an author, Rene S. Perez II, who is here to talk to us about his book that is out right now. It's called what? This is called Scavenging.
Yes.
And it's a series of short stories that tell stories about us here in South Texas. Welcome. Good to have you on Domingo Live.
Thank you both for having me this morning.
So tell us a little bit about this book. What was the impetus to start writing?
Oh, that's a big question. The impetus to start writing was I always had kind of a creative inclination. In high school, I would write little poems like high schoolers do. I was a good student, but I only read what was given to me. It's when I went to university. I went to the University of Texas, and I took my first Chicano literature class.
There you go.
And in particular, there was, I mean, every book ostensibly changed my life, but Woman Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros, there's a story that's told in epistolary form. It's letters to saints. And the very first letter is somebody writing to the Virgen, thanking her because they were driving to Corpus and from Alice, and outside of Robstown there was a bus crash and everybody but them and their family died. And so already my head explodes, because right there you have Alice, you have Robstown, you have Corpus.
It's who we are.
And I keep reading, and there's one from a kid in Hebronville. Now, I had never really seen Corpus Christi in books. I certainly hadn't seen Hebronville, which is where my father's from. And I realized literature could reflect us. I could see myself there, and I could then turn around and put my world into literature. And that's what I did with my short stories. And my two novels are both set in Corpus. They go all around South Texas. And this is my most recent collection of short stories, which also has a few stories set in London, where I currently live, but they're about a Tejano in London. They're about what it feels like to be a Mexican American out of place in somewhere new. And it's all fiction, but I try to use real truth to make the fiction authentic. So the impetus was that inclination, but then when I got into a Chicano literature class, my entire mind exploded, and I literally that day I called my parents. I don't think I'm going to be a lawyer. I want to be a writer now.
There you go.
And, you know, what I would like to know is when you first were introduced to Chicano literature, it took you going to college to do that. So you weren't introduced to any of that during your elementary, during your middle school, during your high school. How did you feel about that?
Now, I will say, my mom had lots of books around the house, and it was never assigned to me, but in fairness to Moody High School, Bless Me Ultima was on the curriculum for at least some students. Rodolfo Anaya's wonderful coming-of-age magic realism novel. But aside from that, I think this needs, our kids need to see themselves in literature.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't know if I was ready for it. I was just like a mocoso, just like whatever, I'll read whatever. I didn't want to read to fall in love with literature. I had to come to it with my heart open. And so when I did find it, I was happy that I did. But as an educator, when you have reluctant readers, when you have students who go, oh, why am I just going to read a bunch of old dead white people? And it's just like, well, hold on. There's literature from where you're from, like about you. You can see yourself in books too. And so they were around when I was young. I don't know if I was ready for them anyway, but it's so important for students, which is why I'm so happy that the Garcia Center's offering arts up to the community.
That is today.
Absolutely.
And you can meet Rene Perez. He's going to be reading at Celebration of the Arts today at 2:30. It's an incredible event. Again, talking about highlighting our artists of all different genres. You know, de toda nuestra música, when we're talking about country, we're talking Tejano, we're talking regional, we're talking about authors of books. To learn about who we are here in South Texas. We have so much to offer.
Yes, and representation is so important. And now that a lot of the kids, CCISD is going back to school tomorrow, and a lot of those kids, Rene, don't like to read, your advice to them?
My advice to those kids is to come at it with an open mind, if not yet an open heart. My advice really is to the teachers and to the parents. Any bit of actual interest a kid has in something, the easiest is, of course, a book that's a mirror as opposed to a window. But parents and teachers need to approach kids with their interests. If they're interested in football, get them a book on football. Make it stats. Then you can move into a novel. Then the comfort around a novel, the comfort around books, the sense of completion. Like, you can find success in getting to the end of a book. And if your child says or feels like, oh, I could never read a book, hold on. Let's find something you can finish. Let's get you the next book in the series. And then meanwhile, you trick them into it. Oh, no, it's not about, I don't care if you read, here's some football, or here's some music, here's this, and then by the time they're done with 2 or 3 books, you've made a reader.
It's the key to unlocking imagination right there. Thank you so much, Rene. Te agradecemos. You can go meet him today over at the Celebration of the Arts. Thank you so much for coming.